Another Rings of Power scene comparison for the tedious show that breaks canon and wastes its fantasy setting. One more scene which shows off many of the problems in the show and wastes what could have been interesting is the warg fight, which should have been more of a battle like the one in the Two Towers and can be compared to that scene. First, the Two Towers warg scene, which needs some background for context of the battle.
Theoden will not stay at Edoras. It's vulnerable, he knows this. He will expect an attack on the city. They will flee to Helm's Deep, the great fortress of Rohan. It is a dangerous road to take through the mountain. It will be slow. They will have women and children with them.
Send out your warg riders.
The battle begins with two human scouts being attacked by a warg rider. They are alerted to its presence by the horse's agitation and fear, but they miss out on the danger it can sense. The warg then attacks, killing one of the soldiers instantly, showing how dangerous the warg threat is. But before killing the other soldier, Legolas saves them. This sets up the two sides facing each other in a head-on battle. The movie makes excellent use of its music to draw you into the battle and get you excited for what's to come. The wargs once again show how deadly they are in a charge attack, killing many of the soldiers. The soldiers eventually gain the upper hand by numbers and being better trained. The Rohirrim win the skirmish, forcing the warg riders to retreat, but not before killing many of the soldiers. Theoden even states that they must leave their dead, as the wolves of Isengard will return, showing how much of a threat the wargs pose. This scene is excellent in it giving the audience character moments with all the main cast, be it Legolas killing the wargs before the battle begins, and his moments at the end of the battle. The more comical moments with Gimli but still showing his fighting prowess, and not demeaning his character. Theoden showing his fighting ability, that he is not a coward for retreating to Helm's Deep, rather than facing the enemy head-on, like the members of the Fellowship suggested earlier.
This is not a defeat. We will return.
To even the possible death of Aragorn, all interesting moments. The actual combat of the battle is shown to be frantic and deadly, with the riders on both sides being dismounted and killed, but even if they kill an orc rider, the warg itself is a deadly creature and must be taken care of. Another battle where it makes you feel that they are fighting for their lives, and it draws you in. The Rings of Power scene is much shorter on the other hand. Its setup is that the prisoners are rebelling against the orcs and cannot fight in the sunlight, so decide to send out a warg to stop them instead.
Release the warg!
The fight starts with the warg showing its ability, or the elves' lack thereof, by killing two of the elves that attack it, until Arindir traps it in the tree roots by doing a flip out of its way when it lunges at him. He then uses a chain to trap it, allowing the other elf to escape. The warg bites through the chain and runs after the escaping elf, and Arindir kills it by throwing a spear. This scene showcases how deadly a warg is, but the reason for this scene even being there is silly, as the orcs are shown multiple times being fine in the sunlight. You even see during this fight the orcs then come out into the sunlight to catch Arindir, so the reason for the warg once again isn't there, and should have just overpowered the prisoners or shot them with arrows, which is seen later in this scene and in episodes later in the series. They could have attacked them from the top of the trench or in the shade inside the trench, because they obviously decided that they didn't want to take prisoners and were going to kill them. That's why they sent the warg out. It's only there once again to be something interesting and different, to show how amazing a character Arindir is this time, but comes off as comical for many reasons and takes you out of the scene they were wanting to create. When you compare the scenes, they are slightly different, as one is a battle with many wargs, while the other is against only one. But the implementation of the wargs in these scenes, and why they are even used, and the characters, can be. The scene in the Rings of Power is terrible in the character moments, as they are not there, and the other elves are only in the scene to die, to showcase Arindir's ability. But the only way they seem to be able to do this is by making every other character useless and dumb, while they should have similar ability. This is not the case in the Two Towers, where all the characters are consistent with what we know and how we believe they should be acting. They also degrade none of them to make another stand out. The fighting in the actual scene is hugely different, one being over-dramatized with more flash than substance, the battle could have been over in a couple of seconds at the start. All four of the elves are shown to be standing right next to each other when the warg is coming towards them. This means that if all four had attacked at the same time instead of one at a time, they could have easily have killed it, so the battle would have been over. This makes the scene unbelievable in that the characters are not fighting for their lives. With the warg that looks like it's more from a cartoon or has some sort of disease like rabies in the Rings of Power, this battle is pointless as Arindir gets released in the next episode, so all these elves died for nothing as they were just wanting one elf to get away. Contrast this to the two towers, with the wargs that look like they could exist, to the engaging battle for their lives of the Rohirrim protecting the women and children, with the action that keeps you entertained and invested in the story, and this battle has real consequences if they fail. The real funny thing is that these scenes could have been even closer, almost identical in their setup, as the wargs in the Rings of Power should have been used to attack the humans when they were travelling undefended to the watchtower, not in this one and done comical throwaway scene. It would have made far more sense, as Adar should have known exactly where they were going. Once again, the Lord of the Rings films did it better the first time, showing how woeful this series is, what could have been, and that this is not Lord of the Rings. See you in the next video.
Blather, you fools!